is Jackie Cooper with CryptoMom2 Talk Show and J Cooper Travels and Love Travel Scotland. I want to welcome everyone back to this episode and ask that you like and subscribe, because there are many wonderful shows that are in the queue that will be dropped shortly. So I've had a conversation with Dr. Blockchain before, so definitely go back into the feed so that way you can see our conversations, because she is definitely a prolific writer. And there's a lot of topics that she's covering. And so this is, an ongoing conversation that we're having. Today, we're also having an ongoing conversation about artificial intelligence. So before we get into that, and before I introduce her again, for those that are new to the feed and the show, welcome. Also, I have a new passion project that I'm involved with. It's called the Blockchain Legal Institute. So I definitely welcome you to go over to www.bli.tools, Blockchain Legal Institute. And the purpose of that actually combines two areas of interest for me. Because I am a lawyer as well as an educator, I found that there was a need to provide resources for those within the field. Not that there's not resources, but what makes this unique is it's a centralized hub for the decentralized resources that are there. So for the years that I've been reading and looking, I've found that you have to go to many places in order to actually find the information that you need. So the Blockchain Legal Institute is actually a one-stop shop that you can go and find information from experts like Dr. Blockchain and others within the organizations that I've been networking in. Today's topic of artificial intelligence might be a little bit controversial for those that are listening. And I know I might have a view that might be different than, what we might be discussing, but we are all about, as we were talking off the recording, all about the need for conversation, debate, and for consideration. So what we are going to be talking about is how far should we go with artificial intelligence? And is there a chance that artificial intelligence could ever be equivalent to being a human? So we are going to look into that. Before I share screen for the article that has been written, I'm going to let my guest introduce herself, and then we are going to hop into this topic because it's the trend right now. And so we're going to look at all the philosophical questions that it raises. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me again. It's always so great to see you and talk with you and even debate.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? I know that some of the listeners might already be familiar, but there might be those that are not. So why don't you go ahead and share your story?
Okay, so I'll try to do it quick, even though it's tough because I have a long history. So my background is started in STEM, which is all computer science, engineering, and all of that, all science. That was as a teenager. Then I went to college, got introduced to finance and economics, and all the social problems, etc. And since then, I was always very, very intrigued how I can combine my expertise and my skill sets as technologies, and to solve problems that we have in our economy, society, etc. And one thing led to another. I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. I came to New York to get my PhD at Stern Business School at NYU, got in finance, worked as a quant for a while, which is basically data science for finance, which is why I'm so intrigued also with AI, because that's basically what I've done. But in the finance and economics, but it applies, of course, for everything. And as I was doing that, that was about 7-8 years ago, I stumbled on crypto, and again, one thing led to another. Long story short, since then, I'm all about trying to understand deeper and deeper all these technologies. I call it emerging technologies, all emerging technologies, which is AI, generative AI, Web3, blockchain is part of it. And I think also your institute is not just talking about, even though it is called blockchain and I'm called Dr. Blockchain, we're not just talking about blockchain, we're talking about all emerging technologies. Because at the end of the day, every solution is a combination basically of all technologies together. And in order to solve a problem, you need to integrate them. And that's all basically what I'm doing and what I write about. And also I'm in the process of writing a book, which is about emerging technologies and how to apply them in an integrated way with 360 degrees of all the issues, from one of them that we're talking today, which is the ethic, the moral issues, the risk, challenges, etc., and how to implement them appropriately. So yeah, so that's in a nutshell. Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. So the title of today's article is Can AI Become Conscious and Why Should We Care? So so what is your take on this? We're going to kind of scroll through and we're going to see, you know, various talking points. And also for those that are listening on the audio side, I will connect the website so that way you can click in and read the article. For those that are on the video side, you'll be able to kind of, you know, look as we are scrolling through, but all the links will be below so that way you can go back and take a look. So what is your thought in terms of why should we care? And I guess the biggest question that the debate probably will center around is, how do you define consciousness? Because
Exactly.
and that's the question of the day. At what level is something defined as conscious, and is that equivalent to being a human, or is there many different layers before it even gets there? So what's your take on it before we get into our conversation?
Okay, so I don't have a concrete answer because I can tell that all scientists, philosophers, neuroscientists, physicists, etc., they all have been debating what is consciousness for centuries, for centuries. And there was a time when you know, centuries ago, that people, that scientists believe that other than humans, no other mammal has any conscious. And now that changed over time, and now we do believe that other mammals do have conscience, and we even believe that maybe that a cat has a conscience. I mean, most people will agree that the consciousness, and or even a bat, you know, even though, you know, those black, you know, creatures. But we don't know exactly how they experience that and what they feel, and how this consciousness, their consciousness, is being experienced, and is probably different than our consciousness. So this is why I'm thinking that it could be. I mean, I'm just saying that I'm putting it out there, and this is why scientists are still not even clear on the definition what consciousness is. And there's even one philosopher who's saying that we don't know, and it could be, or we need a whole new physics for that in order to understand what consciousness is. So this is, you know, the degree of debate that is happening in all the science, you know, rooms that you come across. So there's not even any consensus on what consciousness is, and this is why I'm opening it to debate, because it could be that by a fluke, even without even intending to create, you know, a machine that has consciousness, we might create one, and we don't know even that is going to happen. In fact, you know, the co-founder of OpenAI, and not Sam Altman, the other guy, I think his first name is Ilya. I forgot his last name starts with an S, something Russian. Sorry for that. And he said that he believes that ChatGPT is slightly conscious. And a year ago, an employee of Google was basically claiming that it was, you know, summer ago, saying that Bard, which is the equivalent of ChatGPT, is conscious, because he believes that it has feeling, and its wants should be respected like a human being. So, but he was fired. You know, Google claimed, you know, dismissed his claims and said it basically firing him, saying, you know, the result was, you know, he's probably a lunatic or something. And the CEO of Google says that he doesn't even know how Bart works. So, so there's a lot of debate around it. But what I'm saying is that we should at least discuss it. And there's now an open letter of researchers from all across the disciplines that put it out there that we should create an institute that will research, AI in general, and all the risk and the ethical, etc., including consciousness, and understand what it is and what it is not. And if and so we at least recognize it when it happens. It may not be like consciousness that we human experience it. Could be a different one, like a bat. I don't know. Most people agree that it has some consciousness, but I don't know exactly how it feels to be a bat. But this is why we don't know how that's gonna be. And there are all kinds of, and if it is conscious, then you probably would feel like you created something. And there's a philosopher, a German philosopher, who's saying, once you created something, you're responsible for it, like having a baby. And if you're responsible, then you have to give it rights. And there are all kinds of ethical and moral issues that comes with it. If you give it rights, then you give it rights to exist, with its rights to pursue whatever interest, and maybe their interests are not aligned with our interests, and then we might end up like in the Matrix. For those of you who understand what I'm talking about, but I know it's kind of, I know people think this is philosophical, but it seems that from what we just heard from OpenAI and Google, the other employee, that maybe we are closer than we think.
Well, I
don't know. I'm just.
Well,
sorry.
Let me ask you a question. Are you, do you have, because I know you're talented in many areas, but I don't know about this. Do you have the skill set to create the code for AI, or have you looked at the open source of AI at all?
Yes. Yeah,
So,
of course. I as a data scientist, I do know how to create.
So in going down that path,
okay.
Coding is mathematical.
And I agree with you.
So to create consciousness, though, that would mean that it would be different than just mathematical numbers. And that's where I have the challenge about, I know that the code and the mathematical precision can become more and more precise. But in my opinion, again, I'm not a data scientist and I'm not creating the AI, even though I'm on the law side and, from the philosophical side, I don't know that we could ever equate the technical skill of an AI entity to be equivalent to human consciousness, because I don't know that we are going to be able to use mathematical coding in such a way where, I know that ChatGPT can navigate. When you keep having a conversation with ChatGPT, it gets to know your language, your voice, that type of thing. But that sort of reminds me of when I type something in and then there's, the words pop up that could be used, that I have used frequently in the past based upon the amount of numbers or words that I put in. So that is, I'm hesitant to say it's a form of intelligence, because of the fact because it's acquiring information, and that information gets stored, and then it can be pulled out because of the programming that exists to say, when these metrics happen, then this should happen, sort of like a smart contract, but in a lot more detailed way. But when individuals say that there might be feelings, that's a step that I'm having a difficulty going there with, because I don't think that we as humans have, there are geniuses out there. I do not want to insult anyone, but I don't know that we have the intelligence yet, the genius yet, to do the detailed programming to get to the level of the emotional level within a computer. I just don't think we're there.
Okay, so thank you for that, because this is exactly a debate. Most, developers and scientists will tell you, well, it might, I mean, all these bots with the GPT or Bard or all the equivalents are very good at, at imitating humans and, with the answers, and it may feel as if they're human, in the way that they react to you. But it just, in other words, I would like to say that they are very good liars. So, when they imitate and everything. And this is what the consensus is with most scientists. However, there are those who I just mentioned to you, the one from Google and the other, the co-founder, who believes that they're slightly. And I don't know what slightly means and whether it can be more than slightly. So and there are developers, there's another camp of developers who believe that because they are very, very intelligent, could be even super intelligent, then that will equate to consciousness. And I don't believe that consciousness equates to intelligence. There are two different separate, because intelligence is a different type of skill, so to speak, for lack of a better word. And consciousness has to do with the way we feel, we experience, which is very subjective to even humans. The way I feel and the way you feel is very subjective to, we can see the same thing and we might experience it differently. And therefore, there was even a debate with other mammals that told you in many, many centuries, they thought no mammal is conscious, and now we do believe so. So even scientists have changed their mind over time. So we don't know. I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, and this is why researchers are saying, let's create this institute. Let's research that. Let's try to understand whether it's even possible, what it means. In fact, there are two theories. I don't want to go down to that. In fact, at first I put it in the article, and then I realized it's becoming a little bit too technical, so I took it out. And also, not only technical, it became like very long. So to the gist of it, there are two theories. Theory one saying basically that these machines can never become conscious because it will be like a robot, they can do things, but there's no feeling, no nothing, so we don't have to worry about it. There's another theory, and there also, a camp of scientists all of for that, there's an institute even in Europe that is working on that. And they are doing a kind of research that in fact says that it can be conscious, it can have a feel, it can, behave and have experience. And, when we're thinking that, let's say, there are all kinds of, even in sci-fi, and I think even Musk, is doing some research into that you can have like an afterlife, like, your brain or your existence, you can live, after you die, and there are all kinds of sci-fi like that. So, but so there's one theory saying, you will have that brain, but that brain is basically dead and it's nothing. And the other one is saying you have a brain and that brain really feels and experiences, etc. So even with that, there's a debate and there are research on that. So I don't have the answer. Yeah. And I do believe that we should discuss it, we should debate it, because we don't know what we're going to end up with. And what are the implications? And what are we going to do once it happens? Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I'm a person who believes that if there's an issue, let's put it in the open. This is why both in the blockchain, because of transparency, we have to be transparent. We're not, kind of like, switching all the problems and wait till, it blows up. So let's have a discussion. That's all. It's not, I don't have the answers. Honestly, I don't. I just think that they could be both right. It could be conscious, it could not be conscious. I don't know. And even scientists don't know.
Yeah, I think that we have a long way to go for understanding both the science as well as the application. And I know that, Europe has taken a step in terms of looking at some of the boundaries or limitations or concerns because of the AI law, and there'll be a whole nother
Right.
talk shows about that. So I think that, countries do need to kind of look at responsible regulation at the same time that they're allowing the creativity for the development of the tools. So, again, that's the balance that has to happen. I know that we're going to be providing more resources in the links below about artificial intelligence and the idea of consciousness versus, not. Any last minute thoughts that you want to share with everyone? I know that we're going to be doing future conversations about digital identity and other things like that. So anything else that you'd like to share with everyone?
Well, what I would like to say is that, I love technology. I think technology can do a lot of good things for our society. But I also believe in what I call, and this is what my book is all about, and hopefully it's going to come soon, is about innovating responsibly. I call it innovating responsibly. Yes, we do need to innovate. Yes, technology can help, but we have to be responsible in the way we apply it and we implement it. Because it's a tool after all at the end of the day, and like any tool, it can do really great things and help us in so many ways, but it can also do a lot of damage, whether it's Web3, whether it's AI, generative AI. All of those have so much potential, especially the integration of them, but we have to understand how to implement them, how to use it, and even the use of it. I mean, how people are using it. I mean, we hear about deep fake and all of that, and that is applied for scams and all of that. So we have to try to mitigate that as well. There's so many questions to be asked, and as a society, we owe it to ourselves if we want to really create a, a better society, and we really want these tools to help us create this better society. So we have to think about all of this, and this is why I do want to talk about the problems and have a debate. It's okay that we have different opinions. It's fine. It's great. This is how we evolve in life, with different opinions.
Yeah. Well, also what I appreciate is, with the conversations that different people are having, it brings up a standard that needs to be created, so that way there can be the guidance for when we take a step or we don't take a step. And one of the things that I just want to briefly mention is within the Blockchain Legal Institute, there is a whole vertical about artificial intelligence, and there's going to be a variety of resources here about this, as well as in the blockchain. So when as you as listeners, if you come on to the Blockchain Legal Institute and become a subscriber, there is a free subscription as well as the paid subscription. You'll be able to learn from various people, as well as kind of have access to a variety of resources. So I just want to kind of quickly share that, because artificial intelligence is going to be cutting across a lot of different areas, and it will have a lot of applications. So we're just going to have to, like with other technology, just monitor it and make sure that it's ethically used. So again, I want to thank you for hopping on, and for everyone.
Like always.
Yep. And for everyone who's listening, as I always say, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We're all so interconnected, and we're all part of one world. And definitely stay tuned for future episodes with Dr. Blockchain, because there's a lot going on, and we are going to be looking at everything that we can to try to figure out how to provide you the information so you can make the choices that you need to do in your business and in your life and in our community. So have a great day, guys. Bye.